Hello, my name's Wade Black, and today we're going to be going through TQA's Phase 2 Colt starting. Here's the Phase 2 Colt starting score sheet with the task completion and foundation on one side and the temperament on the other. As we daily score the horse on task completions, foundation, and temperament, we put the scores on this score sheet so we can have a client education with the client at the end of the month. You can also see at the top of the score sheets, there's groundwork, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, so you can just circle what phase you're in. The first thing we have is review groundwork, stand to saddle, accept bridle. The other thing is you can start to prepare them for the rope, start roping their legs. With this, they might get a little bit tight and you can work on stage 1 in a crisis with your snaffle bit.
Okay, so today guys, I'm going to be going through the phase 2 score sheets. So if you're following along on your score sheet, one of the things it says is just to review your groundwork score sheet. And so don't forget, good to catch, pick up feet, all of those different components. And then the next one is stand to saddle and accept bridle. So as I go catch this horse and I bring him out of the pen, okay, I just want to make sure that he is ready to saddle. Okay, so part of that's where my head's going to be. I like to be able to bring this flag and put it right in his blind spot. Okay? So can I bring that up in his blind spot? As I put a little pressure on him, kind of back into that stage 1, I want him to seek me for comfort. If he gets a little bit tighter, unsure, we talked about that stage 1 in a crisis there. What's so important about that stage 1 in a crisis is that stage 1 in a crisis goes right into horizontal direction. Okay, so as I put a little bit of pressure on him, we talked about in our other video those driving factors, and a huge part is I want him to submit the outer part. We talked about the head and neck, the front feet and the hind feet, but I also want him to submit that inner part. We talked about the soul being the mind, the will, and the emotions, and submit the driving factors. That self-preservation, the prey animal part, where he's not seeking comfort, is a herbivore eating with the herd and environment. And so those are the parts that I want him seeking me for that comfort and companionship and no longer in his self-preservation. So when I say review groundwork, okay, it's important we talked about before, am I forcing the body or am I influencing the soul through understanding identity? And so through the whole TQA program, although we're advancing on to phase 2 here, don't forget what you taught them on those earlier parts there. So your groundwork, you need to remember that he is a prey animal. What's going on in that inside, and that you're preparing him to saddle and you're preparing him to ride, okay? So as we go on through our phase 2 score sheets, I'm just saying don't forget what you did, how you prepared him into phase 1 to saddle, okay? So I'll just go super quick through the, like I said, I want to be able to take this flag and cover all the different areas of him. Should be able, like Tom Dorrance used to call it, around the world. Be able to go all the way over his body here, underneath his chin, up and down his legs. Be able to just go all the way around him and not have any fear come out. Okay, then the other huge part here, I want to be able to bring this flag into his rib cage. That's going to be like my leg to get him to go forward. Once he's on that line, I want him to just be able to travel on that line. Okay, we talked about those 8 different signs to identify horizontal direction. See, he's nice and smooth there. I'll come right back to the withers, have him stop for stage 1. He's in the left-hand lane, I'm in the right-hand lane here. I'm going to come right back over here. I'm going to pivot around that inside hind foot for stage 4. Okay, put him right back on that line. I'm going to be able to take that flag, make sure there's no tight spots. But yeah, I want to be able to ride a horse on a perfectly straight line and a perfectly curved line. So all this is going to carry over to his back. He should be moving forward around me there. Okay, I'll come back to his withers. Okay, he stopped that stage 1. He stopped and pivoted around an inside front foot. He's in the right-hand lane. I'm in the left-hand lane. There, he moved his front feet across for stage 4. Okay, now I'll come right back to the withers. Kind of bump him here, get him to pull with his hindquarters for stage 2. That looked good. We'll do the same thing this other way. We'll go stage 1 into stage 2. Come right back to his withers here. I'll keep kind of bumping him there. Come right back to his withers. Stage 1 into stage 2. Remember, stage 2 is using the hindquarters to pull the horse in reverse motion. Okay, I'll come kind of right into him here, right into that rib cage. See if I can get him to move laterally. Stage 3, the front feet and hind feet moving together in a lateral motion. Okay. The other thing here, it's not a bad idea to just get in the habit of picking up their feet and cleaning them out. One of the things is pick up feet. Okay, when the horse leads your program, he should be good to pick up their feet. Okay, so that's one thing you can do is just work to pick up their feet and clean them out every day. So I won't review that. We went over that pretty in depth in the phase 1 groundwork video there. But that would be some of the things that I would be going through in your, like I talked about, the review for your groundwork. Okay. Groundwork review. So now I'm going to go right down the list on what I'd be looking for in your phase 2. Okay, so all part of kind of a review from groundwork and phase 1 was your groundwork, and then a huge part of phase 1 was saddling them and bridling them. So that's kind of is the first thing would be there on the review. So make sure you get them prepared to saddle. Make sure you just review the things that you did for groundwork in phase 1. So the very first thing on the phase 2 score sheet is to saddle and bridle them, okay? The ultimate goal, I will say, guys, is that we can take this horse and we'll treat him just like the public, where you catch him and you don't do any of that and you just catch and saddle him and ride him just like the public, not preparing him. But in phase 2, when you only have a week on them, we're still going to review those things. Does that kind of make sense there? Okay. So, remember we talked about patting them on each side, putting your shoulder next to their shoulder, swinging it up there. Okay, nice and smooth there. Talked about before, you have one chance to make a first impression. We don't want to have them not prepared, go to throw our saddle up there, have them spook and the saddle fall off. Not that you can't work through that, but it's just easier to prepare them the first time. I always start with my front cinch, I do my breast collar, and then I do my back cinch. I want it snug, I don't want to necessarily hock it in them. I don't hock my back cinch in them. We talked a little bit about that last time. I feel like it keeps them from bucking as much if you, right off the bat, if you leave it a little bit looser instead of just hawking it in them right off the bat. Eventually though, you do need to be able to put that back cinch in them, okay? So in your phase 1 video, guys, we will be transitioning from using our halter to the bridle, okay? When you guys finish the phase 2, okay, that is the goal, is to not be having your halter at all. At the end of phase 2, you'll do like I'm going to show you right here, where you just take the halter, put it around his neck. We're riding him 100% just in the snaffle bit. We're not using our halter. Usually we go fairly slow there, and I get an opportunity. Sometimes you got some colts that are just kind of barely halter broke, and it gives us an opportunity to get them a little more gentle and we get their teeth done before we do a lot of riding with the snaffle. The other thing, you guys, remember the first time you bridle them, you have one chance to make a first impression. Go ahead and let your snaffle bit out a little longer. Okay, it'll make it easier going over their ears. Okay, so here we go. I like to put my reins together. Okay, I have a hold of it with my right hand. I bring it over his eyes and under his chin. See, I'm right to that point. Then I switch hands. Okay, when we did it before, okay, we kind of fished it down under below his teeth there, okay? And we worked it back and forth, and we really stressed in the phase 1. See how I just worked there and he took it? You guys see how I did that? Okay, and then I could bring it over his ears. You guys see that? Instead of going like this and chasing him all over. Now, as we're transitioning into phase 2, you know, the temperament should be getting better. He should be knowing how to take the bit. you guys can kind of start getting them a little better about their nose. So I'm okay as we transition into the phase 2. If you guys want to go ahead and start kind of going slow with your hand down here, that's how the public's going to bridle them. And that, I'm okay with doing that. I just don't like doing it right off the bat and chasing them all over the place before they've accepted the bit the first time. Does that make sense?
Next, we have horizontal direction in stage 1 on the ground, in and away from you.
So I'm riding him in a snaffle. So this is definitely just a review from our phase 1. I'm picking up on the rein, getting that horizontal direction, getting stage 1. It'll say on your score sheet in and away. So this is in, waiting for him to put the slack back in the rein. Are you forcing the body or influencing the soul? Remember, the soul is his mind, his will, and his emotion. I want his thought. I want him to look this way to seek the comfort versus just pulling his head around. Trying to get him to put the slack back in the rein. So horizontal direction standing, 0, -1, 2, 3, +1, 2, 3. How solid would you give this revelation here on horizontal direction standing to the right? What's that? 0 or... Yeah, I mean, that took there. He finally gave it. He's giving me his eye there, barely. But yeah, it's 0, -1. It's really not that good, right? The revelation's missing there a little bit. I'll bring my leg in here, which is my hand. Pivot around that inside front foot. So the stage 1 wasn't too bad. The horizontal direction standing is definitely lacking a little bit. Okay, so that was in. This is away. I'm going to go behind the back cinch. I'll draw with this hand, push away with that hand as I kind of draw with the other hand. Hit him right here. I'll step around behind him. We got a horizontal direction. Slowly bring that around. Like I said, this guy kind of falls asleep on me here a little bit. If I need to, I can come back behind. And I'm waiting for him to find that. See, that's not comfortable for him. There. You got some smooching going on over there. That was good. Step through there. Okay. So we do horizontal direction, in and away. Here's the away, the other way. As we're working on this with our Colts, like this guy's just falling asleep on me a little bit, but this is really good for Colts because I'm in his blind spot here, and they definitely have to have a pretty good level of confidence to trust you in their blind spot. There we go. Okay, so that is in that one. That would be the in and away.
Next, we have standing it on, horizontal direction in stage 1 on their side and on their back.
Okay, so next we have horizontal direction on their side and on their back. And like I said, in the phase 2, this is with the snaffle. Okay, we want this with the snaffle. So I'm still going to make sure he's ready to stand. Okay. Out for horizontal direction, behind the legs, so in and away. Okay, big thing here, guys. When you're doing this, and this happens all the time, people will get on and then they're untrack them. Two separate things. They need to stand to get on. Okay, then we untrack them to get them to go forward. Okay, so I'll sag my weight down here, but he needs to stand to get on. Okay, I'm on him and he's not moving. Then I put my leg through, and then we do the horizontal direction. And stage 1 on his back. Okay, so we did on his side, on his back, and a huge part of that right here, it's so important that these horses are good to stand. So part of this box is stand to get on. Did he stand to get on? Okay, this horse should stand to get on. He's not moving. Now from standing, I'll get some horizontal direction. There, that was better. Take the slack out of the rein. He's putting it back in. Bring my leg behind the back cinch there. There's stage 1. So we're still standing there, horizontal direction. Take the slack out. There, he puts it back in. Bring my leg behind the back cinch there. Stage 1. Okay, so this is standing.
As we work our way down the list, we got doubling, walking, trotting, loping, and they should have the revelation within 3 steps after initial cue.
Okay, so now I'm walking. We're going forward here. Slide my rein down, bring my leg back. There. That was stage 1, or doubling. That was doubling at a walk. Okay, so we'll go the other way. Slide my rein down, bring my leg back. There. Double at a walk. Do it in a trot. Slide my rein down, bring my leg back. Stage 1. See, my reins are long. This hand's coming up, that hand is sliding down. See how short my rein is? My leg back, that was doubling. I pick up, it's like his head's tied to the fence. They should have that revelation, but then 3 steps. Okay? Doubling and low. Slide the rein down, bring your leg back. That is what doubling looks like. Pick up on that rein, bring it back, nice up, pivots around that inside front foot. So that was doubling, walking, trotting, and loping.
Next is stage 2 with willing submission, standing, and walking.
Okay, so stage 2. We're gonna go stage 1 right into stage 2. Okay, we should have already done this on the ground. Stage 1 into stage 2. Okay, first get stage 1 into stage 2. The other thing we'll be working on in the phase 2 is eventually we can just pick up and get them to pull without doing stage 1 into stage 2. But a huge part of it is starting getting them going like this. Does that make sense? In phase 1 we do a lot of that. As we transition into our phase 2, I should be able to just pick up and have him start to pull without doing stage 1 into stage 2. Does that make sense? Okay, the other thing I think we start doing in here is I'll maybe pick up on both reins, and if he doesn't give, I'll go stage 1 into stage 2. Okay, so I'll ride him around here. I'll maybe pick up on both reins really soft. If he doesn't move, I'll go stage 1 into stage 2. So ideally, we have our 1 rein stop, but we're going to start transition to where slowly I can pick up on both reins there and get him to pull. Does that make sense? Eventually, I want to be able to just pick up on both reins at a lope, but we're not there yet. We have our 1 rein stop, and we're transitioning into there, picking up with both reins and pulling with their hind foot.
Next we have walk, trot, and our ultimate goal of a lope in a straight line outside.
Okay, so here's what I want. I'm gonna go out here and she's gonna follow me. When I go outside, I'm not gonna ride her like it's just turning the steering wheel. I'm gonna have 1 hand in the center, and here's what I'll have you guys do. Pretend there's a gate here. We're gonna go out the gate. Generally what I have you guys do is out the gate, and then riding down the lane is good. Yeah, shifting my weight, bringing my leg. I have in my mind, there's a line around here, and we're gonna go to the L pin. We'll go down the L pin there. So here's my set line. As long as my horse is on my line or driven to my line, I'm gonna give him relief. So I'm gonna give him his head. He came off my line. Bring my leg back there. He's on my line. I'm gonna give him relief. He's gonna go over here to the hay. Here's my line over here. Shift my weight. I'm waiting for the revelation. There, he's back to my line. Okay? Come over here. Bring my leg back there. Bring him back to my line. And then what I usually have you guys do is if you can walk to get to the lane over here, and then once you're in the lane, I like you guys to just practice walking and trotting and loping up and down the lane and double them. It's a really easy way to get them freed up because you have the lane. Okay? Lift my weight, bring my leg over here. Okay, then once you're back here, you do a little jig and then double them. Do that 1 rein stop. You can jump up on the foot. So the beauty about going up and down the lane is you don't have to do a lot of direction. You can kind of just give them their head and kick them. A lot of times growing up, we'd barely get them going, and then we'd go down a ditch bank or kind of a lane where they had to go straight. And so then that way you're not doing a lot of pulling. So in there we did a lot of doubling. I'll kick you into a lope, make sure you can lope and double. As soon as you can lope and double, walk, trot, lope, get them suckers out of the arena and start putting them on a straight line outside. So here's your first line where you can walk, trot, and lope. And then by the end of your phase 2, okay, one of the things my goal is to lope in a straight line outside. Okay, so here's what I want all you guys to do. We'll be right here. See that post? I want you to practice getting to where you can lope them in a straight line right to that post. Okay, so again, as long as this horse is on my line or pointed to my line, I'm going to give him relief. Okay, as long as I want to talk about his driving factors or his hindquarters. When I push him, the life is going to come into this horse. His hindquarters is going to push him, and he's going to go whichever direction he's seeking comfort and companionship. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give him his head. His hindquarters is going to push his body. That's where he's seeking the comfort and companionship over there, right? Okay, so we submit the life. 4 levels of directed life. We submitted the life. We filled him with life. Now we want to direct it on a straight line. Okay? So, as long as he's on my line or pointing to my line, I'm going to give him relief. So I'm going to bump, 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 bump. Okay, I want him to come back to my line. What I don't want to do is me think about going to the post and then have his hindquarters pushing this way and then me pulling his head back on the line, and we're going in an angle here with constant pressure on his face. Does that make sense? So what I want you to do is, instead of going at an angle where he's going that way and you have his head on your line, I want you to hold him until he switches and comes clear back this other way. And then give him relief. So you're going to give him relief, relief, relief. And then on this side, he's going to hit a wall. And then you're going to go back the other way. Then that way, eventually he'll find your line. But then the other thing, you keep him soft on both sides. Does that make sense? Versus this way, his head's on the line, but his driving factors are going that way, so there's constant pressure. So, here's my line, and although I may tip his head till we're pointed nowhere near my line, he's pointed to the line that's going to get me there. Does that make sense? Instead of trying to get him clear up there, no, just this right here, this straight line. If he finds this straight line today, right now, eventually he'll get there to the finish line. Does that make sense? So he needs to find the straight line. Such a huge part of my mind is riding colts is helping them find that invisible straight line or curved line that you've placed in front of them. How do they know where that is? The relief, right? And then giving them a chance, getting off and setting that line, you being consistent of consistent pressure and consistent what? Relief. This is that huge part of task completion and temperament. There is always a line. When they're on that line, give them their head. Okay, so here we go. Here's my line. I'm going to give him his head and allow him to make his own wrong decision. Now we're back over here, release. Back over here. There, he's on my line, on my line, on my line, off my line. There he's back over here. Back to my line. Okay. Okay, so on that, guys, you can see we did a lot of wallering, okay? I'm a huge fan of giving a horse picking a spot and being able to lope them on a straight line. That's one of my biggest pet peeves of people that ride colts in a round pin all the time, is they never take them outside and just pick a line and get them to ride in a perfectly straight line. Okay, it amazes me when you can get a horse to just pick a line and get them to ride in between your hands and feet. It's amazing how that transitions over to so many different areas. So that's one of the things we'll start doing. You can see we did a lot of wallering, okay? The consistent pressure, the relief here, and then letting them sit at the post helps them know, oh, that's where we're ultimately trying to go. Okay, now I'm gonna do less wallering and see if I can just get him to the fence. Guys need to get really good at this. If he goes too fast, he's on a loose rein. If he goes too fast, what is that called? Doubling there. I double him, okay? Okay, so that's the concept, guys. You can see we did some major wallering over there, and then eventually he found it, okay? If I could do this a few more times, and he'd find it even better, but you get the idea. Eventually, you'll get him to lope right over there. If he goes over there and it's pressure, 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 pressure over there, if it's consistent pressure, consistent relief on the line, consistent relief when you get to the line, and the big thing over there, honestly, I stayed there for just 30 seconds. Honestly, I'd let him sit there as long as I wanted. Make that spot comfortable. Does that make sense? Okay, so we did lope in a straight line away from the barn. The other thing, we can start going outside. You can see up there on the road, we can go down on the road. That's part of the lope in a straight line if you guys are ready. If you're not ready, that's okay. Just keep trying to do this.
This is our ultimate goal, where you can put them on a line, give them their head, and they'll move out soft in the lope on a loose rein. See that horse's ears up. He's looking for his destination, trying to get to the post where he can get the relief. He gets to the post, he gets the relief, task completion, lope in a straight line. This would be our ultimate goal in phase 2, is that we could take him outside and get him to lope in a straight line, either on the side of the road like this or out in the middle of that pasture. You can see he lopes around here, and I don't know if something spooks him or what, but he kind of goes off in the road, which was good to see. See my sit my hand, wait for the revelation of stage 2, put him back on the line and give him relief. It's really important if they go off your line that you wait for the revelation of stage 1, put them back on your line, and then give them relief. As I stress this, the importance of pressure and relief and letting them find that invisible line that you've placed in front of them is really key to get them to lope in a straight line outside. Next, we have stage 3 with willing submission on the fence.
Guys, on your stage 3, very important, I'm riding parallel with the fence. The lane is a really good place to do this. Here's the fence. I am parallel with the fence. I'm going to bring my rein down here. I'm going to kick his butt out. Now, when I slide my rein down and bring my leg back, what is he automatically going to think? Stage 1, and more than likely doubling, coming all the way down the fence. So as soon as I kick his butt out, what's really important in getting the stage 3, 2 components. Number 1, going down the fence, kicking his butt out, but then using my outside rein to keep him going down the fence. So I'm going to use my inside rein and my inside leg for horizontal direction, the start of horizontal direction in stage 1. Then it's very important that I use my outside rein to keep him going down the fence. If he gets confused and bound up, because he's going to think he needs to go this way, task completion, keep him going down the fence. So there's a transition here from stage 1, which he already knows, into stage 3. So I'm transitioning from stage 1 into stage 3. You guys remember how we transitioned from stage 1 into stage 2 and sometimes they were a little confused? So you shook the flag until they found it? It's the same way here. We're going to go stage 1, pick up on that outside rein till they go 1, 2 with the front feet. So I'm riding down the fence here, pick up on the inside rein to get stage 1, draw on that outside rein. See how he's doing 1, 2 with the front feet. Okay, so that's really all we're expecting. The stage 3 is the front feet and hind feet moving together in a lateral motion. Okay, that's what I want to see. The fence is a really good place to do that. I mean, you have the whole line going back both ways. The other thing, sometimes your horses will get kind of, as we're riding them, sometimes they get lazy. Well, use your magnet. If another horse is there, if there's something down there, just do both sides where you kind of naturally have a magnet where they kind of want to go. If I have a magnet down here, I'll kick his butt out and I'll use that as my advantage to just draw him down the fence.
Our final component that we track in phase 2 is horizontal direction, walk, and slow trot.
Part of the TQA program is starting to work cows and roping and kind of that all-around performance horse. When we start doing circles, honestly, I really like going around something, whether it's a dummy, whether it's a barrel, but just giving them something to look at. This shouldn't be a huge stretch because they should have done this with you, right? Instead of you being in the center, there's a dummy in the center. So I'm picking up on that lane, that rein. I want them to walk on a perfectly round rein here. See, I'm sliding my hand down my rein. I'm bringing my leg in. See how my weight's on this side? I've shifted my weight. He's on this curved line, and I'm giving him his head. See, he is seeking this line by himself. You guys see that? Then stage 1, I really like to start doing all 4 stages around this barrel. We'll do that more, but you can see stage 1 into stage 2. We did that on the ground, right? Down the road, you guys might even be able to tip his nose, stage 4, right? We already did that on the ground. That shouldn't be a huge stretch, okay? So now I'm gonna use my inside rein and my inside leg. So to come around here, we're just using this as our groundwork, but I'm using the rein, and instead of me being there, the dummy's there. When he's on that line, I give him his head. Okay, we're gonna go stage 1 into stage 2. Okay? Even shift our weight, maybe see, there's 1 step. You guys were doing stage 3 down the fence. You could even use this dummy to your advantage and see if you can kick his butt out. Get some steps of stage 3 there. Does that make sense? Now, it doesn't need to be perfect, but just start doing it coming around here. Okay, then the next thing is trotting. Shift your weight, make sure you're looking around behind you there. Okay, I'm not looking at your horse's head. One of the worst things in the world you can do is look at your horse's head. Look, really, 3/4 of a circle behind you. You guys will be amazed. If I'm looking here, see where my weight is? But if I look 3/4 of a circle behind me, almost behind me in the circle, see I'm looking here? See what that does when I look over there? See how that puts more weight on my outside butt cheek and lifts up my shoulder. So look around almost behind you in the circle. So as I'm trotting around here, I'm going to be looking behind me in the circle. I'm not looking at his head. I'm picking up on the rein and I'm bumping him with my inside leg and I'm looking behind me. I'm looking where I want to go. A horse can feel where you're looking. I want to look where I want to go. Okay, so we do walking and a slow trot, and we can go into that stage 1 into stage 2. Walk behind there, put him on your line and give him his head. You shouldn't be pulling on him every step. Put him on his line and give him his head. You shouldn't have to do it on groundwork, and you shouldn't have to do it as you're walking and doing your slow trot around here. Okay, so there, in that, as you're going through there right off the bat, you may have to do stage 1 into stage 2. Eventually, maybe when you say whoa, you can just start pulling on both reins. Okay, so that's kind of a wrap up of the phase 2 score sheet.
Thanks for watching. This is TQA's phase 2 colt starting video.